early game aggression from all of Valance Squad, honestly.
Good
Especially
luck.
Fun Baller.
Good luck, Lion Guard, because Valance looks unbelievable right now. Hercules, we saw that banned away against Lion Guard earlier on by Valance Squadron. Really a shot at Frezzy more than anything, I would say, who's been playing a lot of that Hercules in the support role. And that's been his really most successful god so far in this split. Frezzy has not had a great start to this split.
No.
I think that's fair to say.
Not at all. If you look at the score charts at the end of the game, he's always been at the very high end of the death counter.
Yeah.
He's playing a lot of these Guardians that can't get out of danger, specifically the Sylvanas.
Yeah.
And this is why we see him struggling a little bit with his positioning. Sometimes he even makes these plays where he'll go into the speed buff. I think it was earlier on this week on the Thursday game, I think it was, or later on, where he just contests 1v4 and then he just dies for it. So he needs to be a little bit more on pace and on par, rather, with the rest of his teammates.
Well, it's going to be a Zeus selection here for Shadow Nightmare. Lion Guard taking an exact page out of Valance Squadron's book, taking Zeus Khepri right away with their first 2 picks. Love it. Pressure in the mid lane, pressure in the duo lane, a little bit of survivability. Maybe Shadow Nightmare goes for the same style of tanky build that Lobster went for, but Terra going to be locked in for Valance Squadron. Could be for Big Man Tings, could be for Xaylia, like we mentioned. Has loved playing Guardians in the solo role. Cherio seems content to actually play Assassins, as long as it's Hunbats or Naja. As long as it's Hunbats or Naja, a little bit of Thor sprinkled in there as well when necessary. Cherio's good on the Assassins, otherwise you can hand him a Guardian.
I think the Naja's still in his back pocket. He hasn't really brought it out in Season 4, but he's always been having this option. More importantly, could be something that he likes to do and land, as long as he doesn't surprise people.
It could be Season 9, and I'm banning Naja from Cherio. Like, I just do not, he's just so always so comfortable on that god. No reason to give it to him, in my mind. Ullr going to be the selection there. That's going to be for Flurry Q in the duo lane. No on her selection early on here. Lobster bringing out that Poseidon that he loves oh so much.
I like the idea of taking away this Ullr from Funballer and banning out more hunters from him. Taking away the Rama, taking away the Medusa, surprisingly
they give him on
enough.
her.
Yeah, that's something that I thought they were going to elect to do, making sure that they don't have the control. Because Honor's one of these jack-of-all-trades hunters where he can go in and get out at the same time whenever he wants to. Having a CC immune ultimate, having a knockback, which can work offensively and defensively.
Xingqian going to be the selection there for Valance Squadron. Again, don't really know exactly where that's going to go in relation to the Terra. Both can solo, both can play the support role. No on her.
Scotty.
Doesn't
have escapes such as the on her would necessarily, but a lot of damage and a big burst once you have that Transcendence
This is just Funball saying, I'm better than everyone here, and I'm just gonna beat you. I'm gonna beat you with the god that can take 1v1s as good as any hunter in the game. At least that's the way I look at this, is Funball just wants to box Flurry Q in lane, and Scotty one of the best 1v1ers.
Well, Valance Squad kind of messed up their drafts here, letting Odin go through despite having a composition that might be a little bit bursty, but not having any escapes away from that cage. Definitely going to have to be looking for that Phantom Relic to survive.
Terra and Scotty and Poseidon going to be in a little bit of trouble, though both Xingqian and Hunbats can get out of that Odin cage. And there isn't a whole lot of healing that Valance have, so you don't have, you're not really worried about that Odin. I think that's probably why it got let through. When you pick something like Sylvanas or Ra, that's when you're thinking, okay, we need to ban Odin. Terra is a healer and doesn't have an escape, but it doesn't have that same sort of, oh man, we better ban Odin or we're in serious trouble here sort of feel to it.
Especially considering the fact that Lobster is playing the Poseidon. That's something you have to protect your mid laner for. You know, having a very defensive mindset from Lobster in game number 1, going for an early mark of the Vanguard, now transitioning into a more offensive mind, going for that Soul Stone.
Yeah, both mid players going for the Soul Stone. Soul Stone receiving a recent buff. Now you get a little bit of mana back whenever you do consume all 5 of those stacks, and it's always been the premier power item in the middle lane. Just didn't have quite the mana sustain to see play early on in Season 4. The red buff being started up here by Valance Squadron, just getting those little guys off there. Frezzy recognizing exactly what Valance is trying to do. Tough to say exactly who got control of that, but Flurry Q had soloed that entire wave right as it came out of tower, leaving Lion Guard free to secure this purple buff.
Valance Squad not able to really control their own buff. That's going to allow Flurry Q now to hit level 2 and then start these oracles up, getting some very early vision control for the rest of his teammates. Now that's going to give a little bit of a wave control back on the side of Valance Squad on the left-hand side, and they could look to just basically freeze the wave out or look to push as quickly as possible and then look for their own red buff.
We do see a Ratatosker. I believe this is the first time since we saw it, since 4.3 hits. Ratatosker seeing a little bit of a nerf, Tolly. What's different about the jungler?
So the thing about Ratatosker is his ultimate. His radius now got nerfed by about 5 units. Similar, I think it's the same exact circle now as the Thor, making it a little bit more difficult to hit.
As well as a little bit of a cost increase on that Acorn, so he's not able to buy that quite as quickly. And then you also have the nerf to the Dart cooldown. Previously, whenever you hit your Acorn Blast or Flurry of Acorns, it would, for every enemy you hit, it would reduce by 2 seconds your dash cooldown. Now down to 1, so a little bit less mobility for the jungler for Lion Guard Esports. Still brings a lot of early game pressure, and no damage numbers were touched either.
No, absolutely. He still does a lot of damage, but the biggest factor of Ratasker's kit is how easy it is to hit multiple targets with his ultimate. So getting that reduced is definitely the huge turning point on Ratatasker, which is why we haven't seen too much of the Rat in the SPL quite after that patch.
Ducky really was never allowed to have an impact in Game 1. He had a decent laning phase up against Xaylia, nothing really to write home about when it came to that laning phase, but whenever it came time for the team fights, the rest of the team was so far behind that I don't think he really had a chance to impact it. And in this lane, you're not really going to get that solo kill up against Xing Chen as Odin. You can't lock him in because he has the jump available. I'd really like to see Ducky try and rotate early to these fights. Try and find that cage onto Lobster, onto Big Man Tings, and onto Funball.
That's probably what's going to happen here, the Warrior versus Guardian matchup. The Warrior's always going to out-rotate the Guardian 9 times out of 10 without any assistance from the jungler. And this is something you're going to have to be thinking about if you're Lobster playing this Poseidon.
A lot of ward coverage on that right-hand side is going to be necessary. You can see Lion Guard already off to a much better start this time around. Shadow Nightmare has a lot more pressure in that middle lane on the Zeus than he did on the Poseidon. Both Lobster and Shadow Nightmare have their ultimates available. In fact, it's only Xaylia who just now dinged level 5. Who may not have, oh no, he did end up leveling his ultimate. There are some situations where you don't even have to level your ultimate at level 5. You can really prioritize some of your more important abilities, like for Xing Chen, Furious Roar.
It depends on what the soul lane matchup is and how much pressure you're really thinking about feeling from the enemy jungler. If there's no global pressure from the jungler, sometimes you don't even have to go into the ultimate. Some gods that I'm thinking of is Tyr sometimes, before his change when you had to level up his 3. But now you don't really need to save that point anyway. So you could still go for a more Lawbringer-oriented style with the Tyr. Odin specifically, though, you could do a lot of damage here with your Bird Bomb combination if you don't level the ultimate.
Another thing we didn't talk about in terms of this matchup in the solo lane is that Ducky does not have a CC immune ultimate and could easily get plucked back into the tower courtesy of Whirlwind of Rage and Steel. Got to be a little bit wary of that. Cherio has shown up on this right-hand side. Just putting a little bit of pressure onto Xaylia's lane, trying to make sure he's nice and comfy over here. But it is going to allow the Oracles to get secured, I do believe, by Lion Guard. Lobster's going to try and steal them away. In fact, force a reset there.
Making sure that the Whirlpool wasn't going to steal one of them. The Vision wants to be completely secured by Lion Guard. So great patience there on the right-hand side. We saw that pressure from Cherio, and that's just a small word that gets underlooked and undervalued. That pressure basically stops Ducky from clearing the wave, and now Xaylia, who's already struggling a little bit in the laning phase, 1 level behind, just now hitting level 7, getting that 1 extra wave is going to help him stay relevant as the blue buff has respawned.
I think that viewers certainly underestimate pressure and what it brings to the team and how important it is, both in your draft and how you play the game. But I don't think it's undervalued by pros at all. I mean, anytime any new item, god, change, anything, the first word on every pro's mouth is always pressure. That is always so important, and everyone is always talking about it. Like, hell, really, really good right now, I would say, in terms of what she brings to the team. Kit just has no pressure.
And that's going to be a big factor in terms of these teams electing to go for their typical drafts, which is why we see a lot of Zeuses, a lot of Poseidons. You know, we have the Hunbass, the Susanos. They apply a lot of this early game rotations, a lot of burst damage in the mid lane. Hell is definitely great in these team fights and has a lot of sustain options available to her kit. But not to mention, she's also kind of a sitting duck in the early phase until she gets some of her items online.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Cherio on this right-hand side, again, thinking about putting some more pressure on the right-hand side, but Xaylia's all clean and comfy for now. No real danger, especially with Ratatosker on the left-hand side of the map.
Great wards coming out of Cherio. Nice little juke as well. Not going to get stunned up by the Ratatasker or Rude. Frezzy, though, is going to get Fear No Evil. Not much follow-up, though. Great ducked right before the Fear No Evil really put him out of position.
Yeah, Lobster was looking to follow up with that Kraken in that scenario, but Cherio just couldn't quite angle the totem correctly. Of course, Fear No Evil fears enemies away from the center of that totem place. And like you mentioned, the Abduct gets Frezzy on the other side of that ultimate, making sure that he is safe from that Kraken. This is a typical European game, totally. We're 6.5 minutes in. No kills quite yet, but Lion Guard looking for an early Gold Fury.
They want to try to force a team fight with the Fear No Evil on cooldown, finding a route onto Lobster. The rotations here from Ducky, and here's his presence.
There it is, exactly what we were looking for. Zalia's in the mid lane, and he's going to eat a little bit of damage from that knockup from the Ratatosker, but Lobster quickly falls, never even had a chance to Kraken in response. Gold Fury is started up. Zalia's here. There's the ultimate from Terra as well, but Gold Fury goes the way of Lion Guard. The question is, how much will they pay for it? Ducky, he's going to fall. Meditation there from Frezzy, keeping everyone top, but Valance, they're still looking to fight.
Zalia's going to get picked off 1 for 1 thus far. We see Funballer trying to do as much damage as possible. Duct is not on the mark. 2 members falling thus far from Lion Guard, despite them getting the Gold Fury. With Cherio coming back, he could look for another re-engage here once his ultimate comes online, not to mention Lobster's revived, and he has a Kraken. He's wrapping around left-hand side.
Yeah, Frezzy needs to be careful with his positioning, but they're actually looking at Flurry Q, who has to use the Purification to jump away. Frezzy still in the face of Cherio on this speed buff. No response whatsoever from Valance as Frezzy finally decides that he's had enough of messing with the enemy junglers. Cherio is able to secure his own speed buff. 2 for 2 overall, though the First Blood goes Lion Guard's way, as does the Gold Fury. So a very slight gold lead in their favor, right around 1,600. A little bit more than I thought initially. So good farming coming out from Lion Guard early on, and like I mentioned, both the Gold Fury and the First Blood. That's why you see that disparity in the red team's favor.
Definitely need to be looking for more of these rotations from Ducky on the Odin onto Lobster. Shutting down this Poseidon is going to be the key factor, because we actually saw the difference of levels between Lobster and Shadow Nightmare the last game, where Shadow Nightmare was down about 3 or 4 levels heading into the 20-minute mark. And this could be a point in time where if Ducky continues to isolate Lobster from the rest of the team, especially considering there's no revival because the Khepri is actually on Frezzy's side instead of Big Man Ting's, this could be the key strategy for Lion Guard and to allow Shadow Nightmare to get his damage online.
And it was a great rotation from Ducky, and we needed to be seeing a little bit more of that for Lion Guard. I mean, that Bird Bomb did 3/4 of Lobster's health instantly, and he had no idea it was coming. That's exactly what you want to do on this Odin. Love the aggressiveness from the young solo laner for Lion Guard. We're looking to take at least a game here off the top card in Europe, Valance Squadron, who had a very, very dominant game 1. Game 2, a little bit closer, 9 minutes in, 2-2. Lion Guard's a little bit ahead until Cherio finds Ducky on that right-hand side. Just knows, again, no CC immunity available for Odin in that kit. Looks like both Whirlwind of Rage and Steel and Fear No Evil used to pick up Ducky.
And if you use that jump in the laning phase, it's going to be very easy for the rest of the ganks to happen. Frezzy just not on the same page as Flurry Q. It was a great opportunity, but the Hunter was just too far away for that gank to really be of any use. And off of the pick onto Ducky, that tier 1 tower in the solo lane took so much damage. Anytime you're a god that needs to use their escape to clear the wave, you have to be so careful about these ganks. And we haven't really seen too many wards here on the side of Lion Guard to really spot them out.
Yeah, Cherio's still hanging out over here, and you can see that the Genji's guard was the second item picked up by Ducky, trying to give him a little bit of extra magical defense against Zalia in lane, but Zoni on the left-hand side trying to find the kill on a Funball, trying to abuse this immobile Hunter, and that's exactly what Lion Guard does. Shadow Nightmare able to pick it up with the detonate. Frezzy actually rooted underneath the tower
body
now.
Block is good.
Great body block.
Ultimate. He's also going to be... Oh, he didn't get the revive. I thought he was going to try to. And now Lobster's going to be able to confirm this, more than likely.
Lobster trying to, but there are 4 members of Lion Guard here, and so Lobster willing to give it up. Stunned out by Flurry Q. Good axe there. And Zoni Schultz trying to find the kills. Lobster trying to get away. A little bit more cooldown necessary, and Ratatosker not going to be able to find the return kill.
Frezzy, though, I thought he dropped the ball by letting himself go through with Lobster coming through, but look at this. Cherio was left unchecked in the mid lane, getting 500 gold for his team. Johnny makes the rotation, but it's not in time. And just like that, the overcommitment on the left-hand side is not normally expected onto a Hunter, especially when the Gold Fury is down. Normally, the action shifts into the solo lane, so picking off Funballer there probably shocked him.
Yeah, very much so. You saw that even the wraparound was happening from Frezzy just in case. The deep dive, but again, that's what happens up against very immobile characters like Scotty. Xaylia has really taken this lead that Cherio earned for him on the right-hand side and started to run with it, continually poking out his lane opponent. That tower still very low from the push, thanks to Cherio and Xaylia combined, and Ducky still having a little bit of trouble handling the experienced solo laner of Valance.
It's really interesting to see the different build style from Xaylia. Anytime he plays a specific god, you always want to be looking at what he's doing. Instead of electing to go for this Breastplate of Valor for the cooldowns, he's looking for the very early power spike of this Dynasty Plate Helmet, giving him the penetration, the defenses, and the early power spike is what's allowing him to really control this lane. At level 12, with Shoes of the Focus, he has a big enough mana pool to get off about 3 to 4 rotation of cooldowns to be able to get Ducky very low.
Yeah, and you can see exactly how much damage Ducky is taking. That Genji's Guard not helping him enough. Frezzy in a bad spot in the jungle, but Cherio willing to let him go. Looks like Lobster really wanted to get in top and try and use his ultimate to blow up the support player, but with that Sovereignty completed, it means that Cherio wouldn't be doing nearly as much damage to him. And of course, the shield that Khepri gains for himself and his allies that are near him is fairly significant in terms of trying to burst him down.
Absolutely. It pulsates. It provides a lot of damage reduction there. Gonna be starting up the Gold Furies. The first one did go into Lineguard's favor. The Zeus ultimate was used too early. I thought it was gonna be used as a zoning tool to allow Lineguard to continue it, but with a rotation here from the Soul Lane is still on the right-hand side with a rotation from the other players, not going to like to go for it.
I think Shadow Nightmare thought that Cherio was going to teleport into that Monkey Bounce and try and use a Fear No Evil to split up Lion Guard. Or it could be to burn the Gold Fury. Either way, whatever Shadow Nightmare thought was happening wasn't happening, and as a result, Lightning Storm on cooldown. And that's a big ultimate that Lion Guard really relies on because that's the majority of their AoE damage. Zeus does good damage with Chain Lightning as far as spreading it throughout the team. This Chain Lightning Detonate combination is excellent, but sometimes you can't really stand close enough to guarantee those stacks with Chain Lightning.
Last game, Shadow Nightmare playing the Poseidon basically threw away his Kraken on the Portal Demon, and that allowed Valance Squad to force a team fight with that ultimate being down. This could be a similar story here for the next 35 seconds as that ultimate's still on cooldown to allow Valance Squad to maybe force a team fight, maybe even force the Gold Fury.
Cherio has done an excellent job of controlling the pace of this game, I would say. I mean, Lion Guard find a pick on the Fun Ball on the left-hand side. What does Cherio do? Knock down the middle tower, expose it. On the right-hand side, he gets Xaylia lead. Xaylia is able to build a little bit more aggressively, and Valance is taking advantage of it. Now he's looking for Frezzy. There's the Fear No Evil. There's the Kraken, and there's the death. Frezzy, nowhere for him to go. You see Ducky try to teleport in on that backhand side, but good recognition from Valance spots that out and immediately knocks down the ward that Ducky was trying to teleport into. That's all Lion Guard, or that's all Valance really wanted as they're now backing up.
Flurry Q, though, he's in a little bit of trouble. He was forced into the Purification.
Nice axe.
Taking a little bit of damage as Big Man Tings, but he still has the Monolith available whenever he wants to throw that out for the sustain. And it seems with the Purification being down for Flurry Q, it's going to be Gold Fury being started yet again from Valance Squad.
A lot of members on this right-hand side, though Lightning Storm is now up and ready to go for Shadow Nightmare. I don't think they know.
No.
Lion Guard don't know this Gold Fury's happening.
Half health is the Gold Fury. First one was done by Lion Guard. Looks like the second one is going to be completed as well. And they realize now at this point, like, okay, something's fishy. We haven't seen the dual lane in quite some time. They're probably on Gold Fury. Let's at least go for this Portal Demon. But to contest it is going to be Xaylia.
Yeah, you saw Flurry Q in base there. Maybe that's why Lion Guard didn't want to go in on that. But Xaylia and Cherio, they certainly know this is happening on this Portal Demon. Xaylia just using that Whirlwind of Rage and Steel to zone away the enemies, make sure they can't secure that Portal Demon. Now Lion Guard going to open up on the Soul Laner in response, but just not enough damage, even with the tank-oriented build, or excuse me, damage-oriented build that the Guardian has gone for. It still has a decent amount of protection. Dynasty Plate Helm, not an outright offensive item, a more hybrid item that allows Xaylia to still be that frontline capability, as well as deal out some considerable damage.
The Spirit's Robe is what's going to be the key factor to keeping Xaylia alive, which is why he built into it so early in the game. This is something that he's been so prevalent about, making sure that he knows if he's going to go offensive early, he needs to go for a late game defense.
Fun Ball still trying to take this boxing fight on the left-hand side. We saw a little interaction there that Ullr's axe will actually hit Caldier as he goes forward, but there's the Fear No Evil on the right. Ducky taking a good amount of damage. A Lightning Storm from Shadow Nightmare is excellent to keep Valance at bay. A lot of ultimates thrown around there. Kraken was used as well as Big Man Ting's ultimate now on cooldown. but Valance still holds. Lion Guard is here, still healthy. Big Man Ting's back and ready to go. Zalia's teleported in, and he's looking to fight, but Ducky finds the blink cage. But there's no follow-up.
No follow-up at all. Razasker's in the air. Johnny's going to be able to dive the backline if he chooses to, but Zayla's doing a good job zoning as well. Johnny's actually going to start the blue buff while there's a team fight going on.
Flurry Q finds the solo kill. Actually, Funball and Flurry Q trade on the left side while this is all going on. Cherio was trying to dissuade Johnny from stealing away the blue buff, though it looks like he was successful. Lion Guard still here, still trying to make it happen on the left.
They're
or
not
the right.
done yet. Frezzy has a lot of damage reduction with that Rising Dawn. He's trying to find the Abduct, not on the mark. Cherio has to back here. A lot of damage though. Frezzy forced to ulti himself. Gonna revive under that tower shot, and that's still gonna be a decent hold here. Big Man Ting's doing a good job sustaining with the Monolith, making sure that he positions it really far back to make sure that Shadow Nightmare doesn't take it out.
The sustain is on the side of Valance, and that's why you see them willing to take this long-term fight. You can see already a lot of healing there, 2,000 already for Big Man Tings on that Terra, though Frezzy is right behind him, courtesy of just meditation early on in this game. 5-4, Valance in the lead, up about 3,000 gold as well after that excellent Gold Fury steal. Real sneak, sort of, is the word I suppose I would use. But now they're in position to steal away this Portal Demon, and no one from Lion Guard knows is happening except for Shadow Nightmare, who does have Lightning Storm.
He has no mana though, except for that one ultimate. He's gonna get pulled back in by Zalia into a Kraken.
There's the Aegis though, he's still alive. Portal Demon goes away of Valance as Funball picks up Shadow Nightmare. Johnny around the backside trying to dash away, but the slows from Lobster. You can't get away from Poseidon very easily. And there's the damage as well. Lobster able to pick him up. Portal Demon goes Valance's way, and Shadow Nightmare trying to steal it, but no mana, no purification beads. And we've seen this time and time again early on in Season 4 from Shadow Nightmare, willing to sacrifice himself for some objectives that maybe they should just let go.
His other teammates just weren't too close to him to follow up anyway. Normally, it's other tanky targets baiting themselves out to allow their high bursty damage characters to find people out of position, but it's actually going to be Frezzy out of position here on the right-hand side yet again.
The Abduct was body blocked nicely there by Big Man Tings, rooted in place from that Scotty ultimate. One more hit's going to do it, and right as the Scarab's Blessing dissipates, Funball knew exactly how much damage he was doing, no problem whatsoever, as Frezzy takes his second death. Flurry Q decides that he's had enough of team fighting right now. He hasn't really been in any team fights quite yet and doesn't want to be at this stage. Still trying to push down this tier 1 tower in middle. Cherio there to respond as the rest of Valance shoving down that tier 2 on the right.
It's going to be very successful considering the fact that Ducky's ultimate is still on cooldown, having to use it defensively. Big Man Ting's leading the charge. In the sky, though, Johnny has made the rotation. He's going to land onto 2, but then instantly retreat.
No damage follow-up either. There's the Kraken. It's going to find 3, and Ducky immediately erased. Funball able to pick up his 4th kill. Lightning Storm used, but no damage really comes out of it as the rest of Valance just back up, wait for it to go away.
And now Cherio is going to be split pushing in the mid lane as he thwarted Flurry Q's split push potential. We see he does have the ultimate available. Zalia is going to get pulled back in, but the Whirlpool onto Frezzy, and now Fear No Evil is here.
Just not enough damage to pick up the soul laner. Zalia's trying to get away as Zoni is there, trying to pick him up. The purification beads, and finally Zalia falls, but at what cost? Flurry Q caught out in the wrong spot in the jungle. Johnny trying to take a sneaky back. They're right in front of Funball, just able to get out of that ice sheet, and he looks like he will survive, but his tier 2 tower will not. Valance Squadron, again, just dominating Lion Guard Esports, up 8,000 gold now right at the 20-minute mark.
But 10,000 experience. This is another situation where they're just letting themselves fall too far behind off of little mistakes here that could have been easily avoided in terms of positioning and patience, in terms of coordinating with your teammates. You know, Frezzy going on the left-hand side, trying to abduct onto Funball before Flurry Q was there. Another time where Shadow Nightmare just casually throws out his ultimate at Gold Fury, throws out his ultimate again at Portal Demon, allowing Valance Squad to easily win the remainder of this team fights. Is not helping Lion Guard's case at all.
Another Desperation Fire Giant attempt there for Lion Guard, but Big Man Tings yet again with the map presence, the map knowledge to understand exactly what Lion Guard's trying to do and snuff it out. Zalia did have to use his teleport to ensure that Fire Giant wasn't going down, but I don't think he's too worried about that.
No, not at all. These team fights have been going in their favor so well. All they have to do is just be grouped up. They don't really even have to worry about the rotation from Flurry Q in these team fights. The 5-on-4 here from Valance Squad with the ultimates from Cherry and Lobster have been just so devastating to Lion Guard between the disruption from Fear No Evil and then the damage from the Kraken, not to mention the chase down potential from Big Man Ting's Terra's Blessing.
Yeah, it's been a well-drafted composition for Valance, and Lion Guard hasn't really had an answer. Funball's on the left-hand side, and so Lion Guard get to start up this Fire Giant. I like this call. They got to try and get something going, though, and I don't even know if they can win the 4v5. Frezzy just gone off the map. Fear No Evil is all that's needed. Kraken's still available. Lobster's going to use it. No damage there to really follow up, though. Johnny into the back line trying to find the kill onto the enemy mid laner, but it's Ducky the one to fall. Zalia picks up his lane opponent. Ratatosker next on the list. In Valance just running through Lion Guard.
Phoenix was down the whole time. Funballer was left on check on the left-hand side. They're not going to let anyone back either from Lion Guard. That's 4 members down. That's going to be a surrender completely. Valance Squad find themselves their 3rd win at the time.